been less than a year since the Galaxy S8 and S8 Plus came out. We were introduced with a great camera, sharp display, and a beautiful design. Now 11 months later, we took what was almost perfect and made it just a little better. This is the Galaxy S9. Well, it's the S9 Plus. I have the S9 Plus, not the S9. So sorry people. Yo fam, what's going on? I'm Zach here, and the next big thing has arrived. Again. Like it always does every year. Twice a year actually. So there's a lot of correlation from the S8 and S9. The same beautiful design was brought back. Same display was brought back. Also, just about the same battery life. But it's a brand new phone. Why are there a lot of the same old features from last year's model? Well, the newest and best feature of the S9 is the camera. Now Samsung put a lot of hype for their camera. I've seen the slogan, camera reimagined, everywhere like 100 times a day. The Galaxy S9 comes with a rear 12 megapixel camera and is dual aperture. The S9 Plus, however, has an additional telephoto lens and is also 12 megapixel with a 2.4 f-stop. Now what a telephoto lens is, basically it's a camera lens that zooms into an object that's kind of far away and it magnifies it onto your screen without blurring out the image a little. Now here's an image without the optical zoom being used. It looks great as usual. And now here's that same image magnified with a telephoto lens. Sometimes you can lose that quality and you can lose that detail when zoomed in, but it's not 100% so noticeable. But at other times, depending on what the lighting condition is, the telephoto lens comes out great. Now other than from the optical zoom lens, the main lens is where the magic happens. HDR looks better than before, and come on, just look at that blue sky. It really looks like a summer day, but it's actually late winter. Colors are vibrant, sharp, and poppin', and you just gotta appreciate what Samsung did with this phone. But where this camera actually excels is on low light pictures. As stated before, the camera on the S9 is provided with a dual aperture lens, a 2.4 and a 1.5 f-stop. And you can actually see the aperture transitioning depending on how the lighting is in the environment that you're in or the camera mode that you choose. The f1.5 aperture takes awesome low light photos. Pictures do not come out so dull because the iris opens up so wide, allowing a lot of light to enter in the lens. This also gives a shallower depth of field in your pictures. Now this is all possible because of the memory chip that Samsung included in the lens. They include a DRAM chip, and what that does is that it takes multiple images when you take a picture and compresses into one for a clearer image. Live focus is Samsung's portrait mode and it does a decent job, but when you compare it to the Pixel 2 and iPhone X, the Pixel 2 just takes the cake with a bolder, sharper image, whereas the texture of the S9 seems a little painted on. Another new mode on the camera that uses the DRAM's full capability is the super slow-mo. And I gotta tell you, it looks awesome. But it only looks awesome when it works. When it works right. It gets a little frustrating sometimes because the lens can go into super slow-mo at the wrong time. Also, you better hope you're not in a low light environment for this, otherwise your video might come out a little blurry and dull. But again, when it works right, it's really fun to look at, and it's cool that Samsung put this feature onto the phone. But I think it's something you won't really use often. You can also use the rear camera to record up to 2160p in 60 frames per second, and you have other definitions to choose from as well. The frame rate looks very smooth, but can get a little dull sometimes. Optical image stabilization is included, and it's nice and steady when you're recording while walking. The front-facing camera is 8 megapixel with an 1.7 aperture, same thing as last year's Galaxy S8 model. You can record up to 1440p and have different modes to choose from. The newest mode is Augmented Reality Emoji, or AR Emoji. This is Samsung's answer to Apple's Animoji, and it's a little creepy looking and not 100% accurate with the facial movements. You can send gifts to friends using the built-in messaging app and also other third-party apps using AR emojis. The S9 Plus stands tall at a 6.2-inch OLED display with a resolution of 1440 by 2560, same thing as last year's model, but with slightly trimmed bezels. The sensors are all located at the top without a notch. It's also the same glass unibody, but the grip is a little less slippery this time. Comes in 4 colors, midnight black, coral blue, titanium gray, and their newest colorway, lilac purple, which is the model that I have over here. Now keep in mind that titanium gray model is not available in the US just yet. You can also change it up with the skin. I got this one from dbrand and I will link it right below. Beneath the rear camera is a fingerprint sensor. Samsung has finally listened and responded back to us. Now unlocking the phone is faster and easier than ever compared to last year's model where the sensor was right to the side of the camera. The S9 also has a heart rate monitor included, but this time it can measure your blood pressure, Last year and the models before, you're only able to measure your heartbeat. And this is great because measuring your blood pressure is something you should do often on a daily or even weekly basis. Now, Samsung does not have their own app. You can download the My BP Lab app and monitor your blood pressure from there. The S9 comes with stereo speakers. Yes, stereo speakers on a Galaxy device. It's front boom and side boom, both fine-tuned by AKG, and you have the option of Dolby Digital Atmos. And what's also great is the return of a headphone jack. Thank you, Samsung. Now, the base memory model of the S9 and the S9 Plus is 64 gigs. It's not really a bad thing because you can expand it up to 400 gigabytes using a micro SD card slot. TouchWiz is back with Android 8.0. It's a little cleaner than before, but not as simple as the stock Android interface on the Pixel. The performance is fast and responsive when toggling in between apps, watching videos, and playing games with a Snapdragon 845 processor and 6 gigs of RAM. On the regular S9, you have 4 gigs of RAM. With this type of performance, it does affect the battery life a little. I think this is the weakest part of the S9 and the S9 Plus. After a full day of use, I come home around 12 to 15%, and I leave my Bluetooth on at all times because I have my headphones with me everywhere I go, the QC35s. And you can check my review for the QC35-2s on the link below. The S9 series returns with USB Type-C and it has quick charge. Charging your phone from 0 to 100 is a little faster than before, and it takes me about 40 minutes for a full charge. And how can we forget about Bixby? It's still there. The button is also still there, but I have mine disabled, thank God. Samsung, please remove Bixby. So this is the best Galaxy that's out there. If you have the iPhone 10, Note 8, Pixel 2, or even the S8, I don't really think it's upgrading because those premium flagship phones are not so far out from the S9. But if you really do love low light photos and super slow-mo, hey, this phone is exactly for you. So yes, I do recommend this phone only if you have a phone that's older than the S8 because I feel like you'll appreciate this phone much more. So that's all we have for the S9 Plus. We're gonna have much more videos coming up, so please stay tuned and subscribe. Alright, fun fact number 11. I bet most of you guys will try to lick your elbow after I finish this sentence. Go ahead, try it, I dare you. Thank you for watching. I'm Zashag. Stay tech strong. Deuces.